If doing the right thing is exhausting, you're probably doing it for the wrong reason. In this week's talk, we'll look at the power of therefore and how you can leverage it to turn some of life's heavy things into happy things.
Doing the responsible thing is exhausting sometimes. Anybody ever notice that? There's a reason why adulting is a term in our culture, and it's not a positive term. It's why do we have to do this term? Being responsible, we know it's important, and even if the long-term win is good, the short-term doing it is just wearying. Have you ever gone to put on your favorite pair of pants and realize, I probably need an exercise routine. I need to go on a diet. And she says, okay, I'm going to go on a diet. And then, about 3 weeks in, you have that moment where you're like, I'm not really sure being fit is worth it. I think I like potato olays better than I like fitting into my old pants. Maybe this is God's way of telling me it's time to buy new pants. They don't fit anymore. And, I've been working really hard to try to save for retirement, and that's exhausting because my friends are all driving brand new cars, and I really have been needing to just go buy stuff. So maybe I'll just go buy stuff because it feels better. And I know that my daughter is studying for the ACT and she needs to get her grades up, but she's better at fashion than I am, and she doesn't really want to be studying today. Maybe she can come along and I'll get something for her too, and we can stop by Smoothie King and we'll get one of those because that's kind of healthy. And before you know it, when you set out to be responsible and hardworking, you end up at this, it feels like for me, it's always this inevitable crisis point where I want to do the right thing, and I believe in what I'm doing, and I believe in why I'm doing it. But man, sometimes the willpower battery is just drained. And I've been working hard to exercise and eat right all week, and what I really just need is a bowl of ice cream. Okay? But here's what happens. In that crisis moment, I end up either eating a bowl of ice cream and then feeling really guilty because why did I work so hard all week just to throw it away at a midnight bowl of ice cream? Or I don't have the ice cream and I am resentful when I go to bed because everybody else has ice cream. Why am I even doing this to myself? I'm not happy. It's exhausting sometimes to do the right thing. And if we're honest, that's often how we feel about Christianity. I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in the goal. I believe in the long-term win. But in the short term, I'm tired, boss. I'm just tired. And it really hits a stress point when the guy on the stage says, we've got a new series. And he opens it up with this idea that being in the kingdom of God is the key. We said this last week. Being part of God's kingdom is the key to being accepted by God, to being invited into heaven when you die, to having God as part of your life today, to living the blessed life that God designed for you. Being in God's kingdom is the key to all of that. But being in God's kingdom means living my life as though He is in charge. And that's exhausting sometimes. Maybe you know what that's like to feel tired. And it does require effort. Being in the kingdom requires a consistent effort. 2 Peter 1:5 says, make every effort to add to your faith. Okay? You can't accidentally be part of God's kingdom. This is unavoidable. But my question to you is that how it's supposed to feel? Exhausting. Is living God's way, is being part of this church, is being a Christian when your friends at work or your friends at school or not, is it supposed to be draining your life away? Because I see what Peter said, make every effort, but then I read verses like this, Matthew 11:30. Jesus said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. James 1:25 says, whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom will be blessed. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's giving me any freedom. 1 John 5:3 says, loving God means keeping his commandments, and they're not burdensome. Or how about this one? Psalm 119:47. How I delight in your commands. How I love them. Now, something does not match if I'm exhausted trying to do the right thing, I'm putting out effort, and elsewhere in the Bible they said, man, I'm so glad I have God's laws. Oh, it's a delight. It makes me want to do that little heel click, ding thing, right? Yay, I get to do the right thing today. Okay? Something is not lining up here. And if those verses, if Jesus saying my burden is light, and John saying God's requirements are not heavy, and the psalmist saying I'm so excited to get to do God's laws, if that sounds like motivational poster gobbledygook to you, then today's message is for you. This is just what you need. Because there is a disconnect, and I want to expose that and show you how to set that straight today. Here's what I believe the problem is. More often than not, there's an exception to every rule here, but more often than not, here's the problem. Write this down in your notes, or you can check it out on the app. If being a citizen of God's kingdom is heavy, you probably have a twisted therefore. Your therefore is working in the wrong direction. Let me show you what I mean, okay? Therefore is this wonderful little term. It connects cause and effect. Okay, it's things like they changed the road construction lane on Court Street. Therefore, I was late to church. Therefore, I didn't get the good coffee because somebody already drank it all. Therefore, I'm sitting in the wrong section and I don't know this section host, right? Therefore. It also determines motive, okay? And therefore can make a big difference when you're doing stuff. Let me show you, okay? I have two pictures. Danny, let's put that first one up here, okay? About taxes, yay. All right, consider this statement, okay? I don't want to go to jail. Therefore, I pay my taxes. Okay, that could be a truthful statement, okay? And I don't know how well you guys can see. Can you see these okay? And they're up on the screen there. Okay, I have 3 emojis. This is content emoji. This is like heart face. This is what Natasha feels every time I walk in the room emoji. And, oh, please, seriously, emoji. Okay, disgust emoji. This is definitely not what she feels when I walk in the room. Okay, I don't want to go to jail. Therefore, I pay my taxes. Now, which emoji best fits this statement? A, B, or C? C. For me, I have to pay the taxes, otherwise they'll take my house away. Okay? Put the next one up. Now, I support our schools, libraries, fire departments, police department, all of that cool stuff happening in our community. I believe in it and I support it. Therefore, I pay my taxes. Which one? A, B, or C? A. Yeah. You know what? I'm not thrilled that I have to pay money, but it feels good knowing that when I'm paying that money, my kids get a good education. It feels good when we're taking care of our librarians. It feels good when I know that this is, if my house catches on fire, paying my taxes is going to help somebody get there and put it out. Okay, watch what happens. The exact same action, I pay my taxes. But the therefore makes a big difference on how I feel about that action. Your therefore makes a big deal. It makes a big difference. And when you set out to say, I'm going to do stuff God's way, I hear what we're talking about. I see in the Bible where Jesus said, my kingdom is what matters. Being a citizen is what matters. I want God to accept me. I want God to bless me. I want to do this the right way. You can do the right things with the wrong therefore, and it just wears you out. So let me show you a couple of therefore statements that are very common And maybe you find yourself in one of these. Man, we're doing some impromptu chalk art on the stage. Okay, here's how this goes for us a lot of times. Okay, as Christians, it goes like this. I do the right things. Therefore, God accepts me. Ever felt like that? Now, as Christians, we know, if you've been around church, we know better. We know that salvation is only through grace. If you've grown up in church, you probably know that being saved is not something that God gives because I earned it. Being saved is something He gives just because He starts a process. We know that in here, but sometimes for me, okay, I tend to live by this as though God has saved me, yes, but I really want Him to feel good about that decision. I want Him to feel like He picked a good one when He picked me. Look, I'm a good student. I'm a good son. I'm a good husband. I'm going to be the best one. I'm going to do it to make you proud. I'm going to do it so that you're happy that you chose to invest in me. Or I'm going to do it because I really want to earn that spiritual hug from my spiritual father. I really want to prove that I'm the right kind of person. It's easy, even though you know that God has given acceptance as a child because of grace, it's easy to still feel like we kind of have to earn it. Or maybe you've been in this spot. I know God saved me, but I also know that He expects me to do the right thing, and I'm really worried that I'm going to fall off the wagon, and I'm going to miss heaven because I messed stuff up. So I'm always like as diligent as possible because I'm afraid one of these times I'm going to blow it too much and He's going to be like, no, I tried it with Dan. It didn't work out. And write this down in your notes. Think about this. If God's love is tied to your performance, you will always be exhausted and insecure. If God's continuing love in your life is something that you have to do enough right for Him to still love you and to not be angry with you all the time, if God treating you like a child, treating you like His child, is dependent on you being a good enough Christian and a good enough citizen, you will always be exhausted. Because you can never do enough. When have you done enough that you're sure that God is happy? When have you done enough good? When have you done enough good to know for sure that if you died, I'm still going to be in heaven? I know I'm not going to miss the boat. When is that ever enough? It's exhausting. Let me show you another one. Okay? I do the right things, therefore, God blesses me. Sometimes we live with this therefore right here. If you grew up in a Pentecostal or charismatic church, you don't even need to raise your hand. I know you grew up with this. Okay? This is a byproduct of a culture. There's a very good thing in culture. We believe God hears our prayers and helps. I believe God supernaturally heals people. I believe if I pray and I ask God to fill me with the Holy Spirit, that the answer is yes. I believe He wants to do great stuff in my life. But if you operate under the idea that if I'm good enough and I have enough faith and I pray hard enough with the right belief system that God will do whatever I ask, then the flip side of that is that if I pray and God doesn't do what I ask, it's because I didn't have enough faith. I need to pray harder. If I ask God to fill me with the Holy Spirit and I don't speak in tongues, there must be some hidden sin in my life because, it must be me. The clog is in here. And I feel like I have to try really hard and I have to work harder so that God will bless me. I believe that He wants to, but it's only if I'm really good. And I'm not sure I can be good enough all the time. Write this down in your notes. If God's blessing is tied to your performance, you'll be entitled or disillusioned. And probably both at the same time. Because here's the downside, and I want to be clear. I believe God answers prayer. I believe that God can do anything, and many times he will step in and supernaturally fix what's broken in my life. But as a pastor, I've seen this. I've seen people who believe if I just pray right or pray hard enough, if I just believe hard enough, God has to say yes to everything that I request. If there's an example in the Bible, I'm entitled to it. And if I did the right things and he didn't answer, I become disillusioned because that's not the deal I signed up for. Okay? People have left their faith in the ditch and walked away from Christianity because of this, therefore, right here. I put God first in my finances, I tithed to that church, and I still got repossessed on my car. I dedicated my baby to the Lord, and they still turned away, and they're walking away from God. I did all the right things. Why didn't God bless me the way that I asked? If it's based on your performance, it breaks everything down. And we see the way that God talks about this, right? We know conceptually, I'm saved by grace, not through works. I know that in here. Why do I act like this is true? Why do I keep trying to earn God's grace if I know that he's given it to me? Why are we like this? Here's why. Here's why I believe. Okay? Write this down. Because when you're the active agent, you become the hero. You have an element of control. This pipeline of God's goodness and you receiving it has this functional piece right here. I do the right things. And as long as this is the active part, I do the right things. Therefore, God gives me the stuff that he's going to give me. As long as that's the right stuff, then I'm the one who's making the difference. I'm the one who's making it happen. Let me show you the tragedy here. This therefore takes the most beautiful, unique, amazing religious system in the world, and it turns it into every other world religion with a Jesus veneer on top. Because every other religion in the world says, God is up here on the mountain, you are down here, and if you want a relationship, if you want to interact with God, if you want good things from this divine being, you better work hard and climb up the mountain. You better do enough good so this God will bless you. You better sacrifice enough stuff. You better blow up enough buildings. You better not eat for enough days. You better do all of this stuff so that you can get this God on the mountaintop to bless you. And we lose what's so beautiful about grace. I don't want to be the hero of the story. I need Jesus to be the hero of the story. And the good news is that the gospel is better news for you than this. I'm going to give you something in a minute. You're going to write it down, but I really want you to hear this. This is something that so many of you who are church veterans, you know it up here. You just forget and you lose sight of it sometimes. Okay? But put this down in your notes. Check this out on the app. God doesn't accept and bless you because you are good. He does it because he is good. He does it because that's his character. He did it before you ever did anything to try to earn it back. It's comical for me to think that I could earn any of it anyway. He doesn't bless me because I'm good. He blesses me because he is good and he just wants to. He didn't call me his son because he looked into the future and he said, Chris is going to be a pastor. He's going to take care of his family. He's going to cheer for the Dallas Cowboys. This I want as my son. He does it because he's good. 1 John 4:10. This is love. Not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. He's the one who starts it. He's the one who initiates it. Therefore, it's not I do the right things and that's not how it works. But Chris, I'm confused, man. Last week you said the key is being in the kingdom and doing stuff God's way. What about the rules? Isn't that what you said? It is important to do stuff God's way. He does expect you to do it his way. But we've got the sequence wrong. Okay? Write this down in your notes. God's laws always follow God's love. Always. God's expectations always come after he's been good. He's always the one who starts the relationship. He's always the one who makes the first move. Some of you ladies, you got that guy and you're like, man, I wish he would just invite me out for a date. What do I have to do? How obvious do I have to make it? Okay? God is the one who makes the first move toward humanity. Is God who put humans in this beautiful garden with everything they could possibly want. Think about this. He puts them in paradise first. And then he says, now that you're here, here's how I want you to behave. He comes to a nation, a people group that are slaves in Egypt, and he brings them out and gives them freedom. He miraculously leads them into their own land that they get to have as their own. He does all that good. And then he says, now here are some commandments I want you to live by so things go well while you're here. God's laws always follow God's love. And we opened with this Bible verse, make every effort to add to your faith. Let me give you the context. Let me back up a couple of verses and read this whole passage. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 3. God's divine power has given us everything we need for a godly life through our knowledge of him who called us by his own glory and goodness. Through these, he has given us his very great and precious promises, so that through them you may participate in the divine nature, having escaped the corruption the world caused by evil desires. And then, put this up on the screen. Okay? Put that up here. Go to the very next one. Okay? Look at this. For this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith. Everybody go, oh. Yeah. Right? The mean guy on the stage cut off the important part. It's like a political ad. When they just clip that your guy or your girl, they just clip the one thing they said, and you're like, that's not what they meant. Okay? Peter says, guys, God has been so good to you. He's given you so much. He's invested so much. And for that reason, make the effort. And that's the difference. The therefore makes a difference. And when you understand grace, you can get your therefore straightened out. And here's how it's supposed to go. God accepts and blesses me. Therefore, I do the right things. Do you feel the difference there? I pay taxes because I don't want to go to jail. That's like saying, I say no to drinking with the boys because I don't want to go to hell. I wish I could. Big mean God won't let me. It's a lot different than, I am so floored because I know how selfish I can be. I know how much of a jerk I can be. I know how much of a bully I was in school. I know how much I'm impatient and unpleasant at times. And God accepts and blesses me first. Wow. Therefore, whatever he wants from me, it's his. I'm happy to do it. I've been given so much. That's what makes the difference. That's the therefore you need if you don't want to be exhausted. And as the band comes back up, here's the last thing for you to write down. Seeking God's kingdom is a voluntary response to his love and grace. Voluntary. You know, it's interesting when you read these letters that the early church fathers wrote to the church that are recorded in the Bible. Paul, James, Peter. Oftentimes they will open up this letter this way. From Paul, a slave of Jesus. From Peter, a bondservant of Christ. How can you be a slave and feel freedom? You can do it when you have been redeemed and you say, man, I want to live life God's way. If he's been that good to me and his way is better, I want better. When you get the therefore straightened out, it makes all the difference. This is how his burden can be light. This is how following God's law can make you feel good. This is how you can say, at the end of the day, doing the right thing always takes effort, but man, it feels good knowing that I've done it right. And I don't do the right thing because I'm afraid that if I fail to do the right thing, God will reject me. I do the right thing because I love him and I want to bring a smile to his face. And the more I spend time with God, the more convinced I am that his way is a better idea anyway. And the therefore makes all the difference. You can go ahead and play. The therefore makes all of the difference. I do the right things because I want to. Here's the benefit for you. Here's why you need to really wrestle with this concept. The striving and the trying and the working really hard to impress God and the working really hard to stay in God's good graces and the working really, really hard so that he'll bless me, that is exhausting. And here's what I've noticed. Most of the time when I am striving and pressing and working to the point of exhaustion, it's because of an insecurity in me. I can never take a break even for a moment because I'm afraid if I do, it won't be enough. Grace is not supposed to wear you out. I told their team this morning as we were praying, grace is supposed to be, I'm just loved. And for some in the room, for some online, there's a mental piece that's pushing back against this idea. But I want to tell you, you need to allow yourself to be loved and not deserve it. You need to stop trying to earn it after the fact. You need to stop trying to say, I know I can't earn grace before I'm saved, but I'll try as hard as I can to earn it after. No, that's not how it works. You didn't earn God's grace. You didn't earn his blessing. He didn't decide to be good to you. He didn't save you because you were good, and you can't earn it after. Okay? You have nothing to prove. And the more that you try to push hard, the sweatier you get, and it ends up making you exhausted and resentful. I do what I do because I'm convinced that he has earned it. And I do owe it to him. I owe it to God to respond. But I also want to. And some days I don't. Sometimes in the moment I don't. I don't want to do it. But again and again, as he helps me, as I come back to this idea of being loved when I didn't earn it, when I don't deserve it, and allowing that imbalance, that unfairness to stay unfair, and him to just love me when I don't deserve it, it fills me with awe and wonder and motivation to love him back. That's how he envisions his kingdom. We're going to talk more about things that I should do because I'm a citizen of his kingdom, but it's so important that we do them for the right reasons. Don't let your therefore be twisted or wear you out. Serve him because he is good. And let him be the hero in the story.
Hey there, just wanted to take a minute to say thanks for watching. If a friend sent you this link, it's because they believe what we talked about today is going to make a positive impact in your life. And if it did, there's probably somebody that you care about who could benefit from it. So take a minute to share this video with somebody. Post it to your timeline or send them a direct link. And if you're able, take a minute to give using the link at the bottom of the description on this video. One last thing. Maybe you feel a tug at your soul and you're ready to take the next step in your spiritual life and form a relationship with God. We've got folks here who would love to talk with you about it. So just text prayer to the number on your screen and we'll follow up with you. It's also in the description on this video in case that helps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.